As everyone knows, Ninja Gaiden on the NES is one of my favorite video games ever made. If you didn't know that, you probably don't know me personally. For those who do know me, I'm sorry about that birthday gift. It was disrespectful, uncalled for, and abusive. My apologies to Frankie. Despite how fun it was for me to craft it with my own 2 hands. I also made this video with my own 2 hands because it's Ninja November over here at Profeed 101 headquarters, which is really just me in my bathroom talking into a microphone in my underwear. The 80s. Ninjas were everywhere in the 80s. Arcade ones, American ones, Japanese ones, movie ones, turtle ones. Kids loved ninjas, and I was a kid once. Lots of ninjas and copious amounts of cocaine. I was only a kid at the time, so I only did a bit of cocaine on the weekends, but I did a lot of ninja stuff, like growing a mullet, wearing bright colors, kicking things. Enough of that though, it's time to get serious. Being a ninja in the 80s wasn't all about kicking. It was also about cocaine and Ninja Gaiden games. Alright, where was I? Oh yeah, Ninja Gaiden. Let's be a professional YouTube video game person and start with a bit of history. Before Ninja Gaiden, there was Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden, and Ninja Gaiden. Also Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chads, and The Last Ship of Destination's Doom. Ninja Gaiden. No, not Gaiden. This is the age of the internet. Be woke and pronounce it properly, or not at all. Gaiden is in side story, not Gaiden, that burly man bar down the street that I've been court-ordered to keep my distance from.
Apple Jacks and Clementines.
So needless to say, Ninja Gaiden was pretty popular. Not as popular as cocaine or turtles, but it was a pretty popular series just the same. That sort of fizzled out after the NES 8-bit titles. At least for a decade or so, but that's not what we're talking about. Or what I'm doing a monologue about, rather. I'm by myself in my washroom. Remember, there will be a quiz later. Get your pens out or cellular devices. Take some notes, starting now. The Sega Master System was an 8-bit console that didn't see much success in North America. It was rectangular, black, with red highlights and gorgeous legs. The Nintendo did better in the US, while Sega was more popular in South America and Europe. Europe is here. Unlike the NES trilogy, Tecmo did not develop the Master System version. SIMS did, and as a result, the game plays a bit differently with its own narrative, sound, and style. To be transparent, the majority of my criticisms in this professional YouTube review will be direct comparisons to elements from the original NES trilogy, which might seem generally unfair, but this game does share a namesake, so it's pretty impossible for me to set aside my biases. The game feels as good, maybe even a little bit better, than any above-average action title, but compared to the Ninja Gaiden trilogy that preceded it, there are some differences. Ryu's movements are smooth, responsive, and generally pretty consistent. The level design, however, well, frankly, it can be garbage at times. Do I need to really say anything? Who thought this was a good idea? Or how about these screen transitions? As early as the first stage, rushing, running, quick, Ninja Blue here will enter a new transition to an almost immediate hazard. It is clumsy level design, and that's being generous. Also, we have enemies who sort of mope around, take more than one hit to eliminate, and don't respawn immediately, which is an improvement over the first and second games, but The birds are back. The birds are as ridiculous as ever, and somehow even quicker, more aggressive, and insanely more sporadic in this version. It is absurd. This was something that had already been fixed in the third NES title,
The Ancient Doom Ship of Tenacious Perspiration.
Why would SIMS revert to this frustrating design, and only with the bird enemies? An homage?
Artificial difficulty.
Pushing both buttons on the Mega Drive controller performs a screen wipe move.
Get out of jail free,
if you ask me.
Have you ever played a game with a Master System controller, touched yourself in the shower?
No, dude, I've never done that.
Ninja Gaiden's a game I made with my ninja parents.
The Master System's controller has a mushy D-pad and very responsive buttons, but I have human man fingers. Maybe I'm just terrible at everything, but I find myself doing the screen wipe move frequently and unintentionally. Gamepad designers, make controllers for real hands, please, not tiny little elf digits. Thank you. I'm looking at you, Nintendo and Sony handheld devices. My fingers are too fucking fat! And I tried all of the diets. If you've ever played an action game like Ninja Gaiden, you know that the controls are everything. I can't operate the sword without my fat fucking fingers frustratingly. Again. What's more, Ryu's platforming mobility has been knocked back since his last console entry. Knocked back, backy bear, beep, 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 knocked back, no barrel. Agnostic reviews by me. At ProleFeed101. Apologies for that shameless self-promotion. You're already here. Why beg you to like me? Subscribe to me. Worship me. Send me your personal address and details. The point I'm trying to make is that the original trilogy had its share of issues, but overall the combat and play control felt absolutely amazing. You felt like a ninja. Tight ninja. A tight ninja with responsive controls, excellent level design, fluid movements, fluids. It all felt rhythmic and quick. The Sega Master System version has no inherent flaws in its controls, and the package is competently crafted, but it just doesn't feel the same. The climbing sections feel a bit slower with stiffer animations, which requires a more deliberate course of action throughout the levels. From a glancer's gaze, the game doesn't look too different from its NES brethren. With hands on the controller, the differences are much more apparent, not only in the actions and level design, but the gameplay, and even an onlooker or listener, as it were, will surely notice the difference in music. There's something a lot less frantic in these pieces, written and composed by Takashi Hiriguchi. They're wonderfully crafted, but still feel a bit out of place when compared to the compositions in the NES games, and that's what I'm doing here. I am biased. They seem to be built around mid to high tempo blues scales, which match the overall pace of this game. It just feels bland, mundane when compared to the soundtracks from the more popular games. YouTube part because my voice is tired from being so fake and my brain is so sick
Ninja
of lying
Gaiden is
at you,
great.
everyone.
So is Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden.
Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden.
Don't say that name, alright? Be woke, okay? Be woke with the Gaiden, not the Gaiden. Look, this is just my subjective opinion piece,
or an objective work of YouTube art
that will be cherished and praised, subscribed to and liked when I'm dead.
like the tragedy of most genius artistic endeavors.
This is my review of Ninja Gaiden for the Sega Master System. 89 Qs out of a pie cake. It just doesn't hold a candle to the original NES trilogy, but then again, it doesn't really have to. I suppose there's probably an argument to be made that the visuals are better in this Master System version, since they are brighter, more colorful, and more heavily contrasted. Does that even make any sense? The point I'm trying to make is that the game does look great, but what it has in graphical fidelity, it loses in stylistic charm. There's a pastoral, experimental, artistic quality to the foregrounds and backgrounds in the NES titles that isn't present here in the Sega version. Even the enemies in this one lack any real imagination. The majority of them are just your run-of-the-mill ninja game baddies.
Boring.
With some odd inclusions.
What are you little fellas? Go home to your mothers.
Settle down, Sega sluts. Corporate teat monkeys loving all of the milky goods. I actually really like this game. It's fun. The challenge is pretty perfect, without all of the ridiculously cheap tricks that the NES games delivered. Enemies don't multiply and respawn at an infuriating rate, and inconsistencies aren't prevalent throughout. Still, as much as I enjoy Ninja Gaiden for the Sega Master System, it pales in comparison to the original trilogy. Yes, it's unfair to compare rather than appreciate something based on its own merits, but hey, that's what a review is. It will always be an unfair opinion based on expectations, ideals, and hopes. This was my Ninja Gaiden review. It was rooted in my biased nostalgia for the games that came before, but I'm sure I'm objectively right. Now comes the important part, where you love me, subscribe me, make my opinions yours, and comment, because I care.